welcome back to another exciting episode of Movie Reel. I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Samantha Tomlinson, and we thought we would finish off our summer movies with the Mitchells versus the Machines. Because what do we do on this podcast, Kevin?
We talk about movies, dissect them, and just have a fun time talking about all the weird, goofy stuff that movies have to offer. And this week is no different.
And there's a lot to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know where to start with this one.
So you suggested we do this, and I remember, I want to say the trailer. So the trailer for Mitchell's versus Machines, I want to say came out, or when did it come out on Netflix? It was a couple months ago.
I actually have this. So the original trailer for Mitchell's versus the Machines came out like a year ago,
Right.
and it was under a different name called Connected,
Yes.
and it was originally supposed to be released in October 23rd of 2020. But since the pandemic hit, it got pushed way back, and then Netflix bought the rights to it because it was originally a Sony Pictures animation movie. So like picture trying to think of a Sony animated movie. Like I think Transylvania, like Hotel Transylvania,
Wait. Oh, wait. I thought I
is part
saw
of that
this
wheelhouse.
is their first animated movie, or is that not true? I thought I saw that, and I
I
was like, wait.
don't know where you got
And I'm
that.
like, wait a minute. They've never
Yeah, I
done an
don't know where
animated
that.
movie. That seems weird. Okay, Hotel
I
Transylvania is
I don't know.
Sony.
Well, yeah. So yeah, it was originally under like that wheelhouse, and I don't know if they like lost the rights to it because the movie got pushed back and they couldn't keep it, or Netflix just straight up bought it out. Which honestly, that one seems much more likely because Netflix is very much everywhere and super rich. So they bought the rights to it and changed the title to Mitchell's vs. the Machines, where it was then released on April 30th, 2021. And from what I've seen from the original trailer to the most recent trailer, they're essentially the same movie. It seems like they added or like took out like a couple like random like small like goof scenes or jokes, but it seems that everything that was in the original version of Connected made it into Mitchell's vs. Machines, and they just kind of took stuff out for pacing reasons. I'm assuming.
It's funny. I remember the last movie that I saw in theaters was Onward, uh, which was March 2020,
Oh,
and
yeah,
this trailer
right
played,
as the
but it was
pandemic
called
hit.
Connected. And at the time, the trailer seemed very much a like it was very much focusing on like family who looks too much at their phones. So that it was the same plot of they're going to do a road trip and take their daughter to college. And but it did seem
Yeah,
like there was that vibe of they spend too much time on their phones and now they have to battle a bunch of robots and therefore connected because which I was like, and I was kind of at the time, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't think that much of it. I don't remember of the trailer. And so, but then and I guess originally, I don't know if this is true. I read that apparently it was called the Mitchells versus the Machines was then changed to Connected. And then when Netflix bought it, it was changed back to Mitchells versus the Machines. And I feel like that's a little bit more appropriate. Connected works, but I think this one works
yeah,
better because the focus is it's mostly on the fact that a dad is having or a daughter and dad are struggling to relate to each other.
yeah.
um
Which
yeah.
I kind of want to get into that more because I honestly feel like the character growth in this movie is probably the best I've seen probably like this entire year. This is probably by far my favorite animated movie in like recent memory. Like they knock character performances out of the park. Everyone is either super relatable or super likable or a combination of the two. Every performance in this movie is straight up believable in some way, shape, or form. And I
Hmm.
absolutely love that, especially in an animated movie because it's kind of hard to portray that because everything's so exaggerated.
Yeah. I think the last animated movie I saw was Raya and the Last Dragon, which I did really enjoy. My only thing was it was hammering the theme into us. It was like hammering the theme down our throats so damn hard. And like,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the movie, they're like, it's about trusting each other. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's what the whole movie's been about.
You said,
Like,
yeah, you said that like 20 times over the past two
wait, did you see
hours.
it?
We
Did you
get
see
it.
it? Yeah, it
Yes, I
was.
did. I completely agree with you. It kind of killed like half the conversations. Like, well, maybe you should trust them. It's like,
It was
no.
just. It wasn't subtle at. It wasn't
Okay.
subtle at all, and it was frustrating. And I
No.
also, and I, I remember complaining how like the one of the first lines. And again, I thought again as a movie, it was really like beautiful. It was Disney. Like there wasn't. It wasn't that part. It was just. It was the theme. I think with Disney though, Disney's in this weird place right now, and I felt this way with Soul as well. They're trying really hard to be groundbreaking, and it's just coming off like they're trying as opposed to just doing it.
Yeah.
And this movie, I'm like, I kind of was watching it. I'm like, I wish it was in theaters. One, because it was super
Yeah.
funny and I was laughing the whole time. And also, um, this also is I mean, I don't know, I would technically say the word groundbreaking because the main character is very subtly queer, which is
Yeah.
not a thing a lot of animated movies are doing. They're slowly building that.
Well, like the only thing that I like watching it, like I didn't even like pick up on that. Like I noticed that she had like a pride button on her hoodie. It's like, oh, cool. That like that's kind of some like fun,
Oh,
like subtle representation without
I
like
don't think I
outwardly saying
noticed
it's like I'm
that.
gay. Yeah. Like they only like confirm it like the last like 2 minutes of the movie, like during like one of the end credit scenes, and it was just I really like that when movies do showcase diversity, but not making it seem like it's a mandatory
They're not doing
like
it to prove a point.
uh, uh
They're just doing it.
not to prove a point or trying to meet like some like un like unmentioned quota. Like a lot of like TV shows and like movies seem to have some like quota of like a minority representations. Like, okay, we need to have at least
Yes.
one Asian character, we need to have at least one female friend, we need to have one gay friend, and they get no like real character growth or backstories other than you are there to be the poster child of this minority representation, and that's it. It's like, and
Yeah.
it's so annoying. And this one, I feel like it does it well because you don't really know it's not an issue, or it has no real need for that to come up at all, and I love that.
Yeah, it wasn't until I kind of had like yeah, like an inkling mainly because she meets so the main character Katie Mitchell, she gets into film school and she meets starting to meet people online, which I totally remembered.
Hey, I
Which yeah, I'm
did
like I
that.
totally remember doing that, like trying to find a roommate. And there's like a couple there's like a couple of we don't I don't know all of their names, but there's one girl it focuses on a little bit named Jade, and there's like a part where she's drawing her, and she's drawing all of her friends, and she's the only one in color. And then like at the end of the movie, and I was starting to be like, I was kind of wondering like, is this a crush or is this just friend, like just friend? And then I realized, oh, it's just a person of interest to her. And then her mom at the end of the movie said like, how's everything? Are you and Jade official yet? And I was just like, oh, okay. and it was like
Yeah, it's like, are you bringing her to Thanksgiving? It's like, Mom, it's only been like a couple weeks. It's like, oh, okay, and then it like immediately
moves
moves,
forward.
yeah, and immediately moves forward. Yeah, it's like that's great.
Yeah, I feel like lately I've been seeing a lot of stuff where particularly with like gay or like queer representation where it's just done very like it's not a big deal. They're just doing it, which is great because that's the world we want
Yeah,
to live in. Like Mayor of Easttown with Kate
like
Winslet, that did it there.
or even in Onward, I believe one of the police officers was like, oh yeah, like me and my girlfriend, like I'm still having like a hard time connecting with like her child. And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of
What? I
cool,
don't
and it was just
remember
like a very
that.
minor character, and
I just remember there
like
was
it,
a. I remember
oh
there
okay.
was a friend, and it was like of the group that the main character, so Tom Holland's character was trying to like hang out with this group, and there was a girl, and she had a pride button. Like, and so Pixar announced like she's gay, but like she didn't really have any dialogue or anything, but she was still a character in this movie. Or like that was one of the
Yeah.
things that made Schitt's Creek so groundbreaking. Or even like my friends and I just watched Fear Street. Like the main romantic leads in the movie were two women, two teenage girls, and it's
Yeah,
just like
I really wanted
it's
to see
great that
that.
things are getting. It's just they're just doing it, not
Yeah.
not to prove a point, not to fill a quota. They're just doing it because that's who these characters are, and that's great.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But I think let's kind of
Yeah,
draw
let's
focus
yeah.
on some of the characters. Let's kind of start with like the main star of this, Monchi, the
Oh
pug.
my god.
By far, star of the movie. He single-handedly saved the world. If it weren't for him, they would not have won. Let's be real. Prove me
So
wrong.
there's okay. So let's so
Just
so our
moving
main
on.
character. Well, I mean, yeah, like yeah. Anyway, our main character is Katie. Um, and then there is her dad. What's the Rick?
Rick.
And he's
Rick, played by Danny
so yeah.
McBride.
Katie is I was it Abby Jacobson. She was on Broad City.
Yes.
And then
And Curb Your Enthusiasm.
oh, she was. I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just looked up her IMDb.
Oh.
I don't know.
And then the mom is Maya Rudolph, and Maya Rudolph is just great in
Fantastic.
like she manages to be in so many different animated movies, and it's not like she's got this like it's not like she's like an insane like she's I don't know how to explain it. It's not like she's got this like voice that's like this is made for voice acting or anything. She's just so good at it.
Yeah.
She just like she could just stop being in like live action things and just be a voice actress. Like she just always is
I can
perfect.
agree with that. She has like a very like motherly tone. And
she does play a lot of moms
for her in this. Yeah, like and she was also Aunt Cass in
yes.
Big Hero 6, and that was a very like she has like a very like maternal kind of like voice that's like
yes.
oh, okay, no, like I can totally like hear this, and in my mind's eye picture like the voice to this woman is like the mother of like these children. And it's just
and
her character Linda was probably one of my favorites in the movie. She was just so hilarious, and it was just really funny because it seemed that like every character of the Mitchell family I could relate to in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And draw experiences from my family, my personal experiences, which is one of the reasons why I recommend this movie to a lot of people. And I don't know if you had the similar experiences, but it seemed like a lot of like scenes and like conversations that like all the Mitchells have with one another during the movie seemed like either drawn from a place that most families have had this a similar conversation or in a similar situation where like there's a bit of disconnect, there's like kind of like a little bit of empty nest syndrome, and it was just parts of this movie just like hit really close to home, and I wasn't 100% sure how to feel about that until I kind of like saw the whole thing play out, and it's like, oh yeah, that's 100% what happened to me. Like, and it was really funny because like Rick and Linda in this movie reminded me way too much of my mom and dad to the point where it's like, how is Netflix spying on me? What the hell is going on? It's like, I'm in danger. How do you know these things?
And then you already mentioned the pug, Mochi. Is it Mochi or Munchie?
Yes.
Monchi.
Monchi.
And then
Monchi.
the brother, who totally won me over by the end. I think in the beginning, it wasn't his character. It was just, so I guess he was voiced by the director, and it is, obviously not a child's voice. And at first it kind of bothered me, but then it just, he was maybe my favorite character. He was hilarious, and I think I was laughing at so many things he was saying, like the part when Rick, after the robots take over, and Rick stomps and breaks all their phones. Which it didn't when Katie was just like, "What are you
Yeah,
doing?" It's like, okay, you know what? This makes sense. Get rid of your phones. Like, but
yeah. And he's just laughing. It's like, this brings me no joy doing this, huh? And he's just
but then
laughing like a
he's like, "Give me
madman.
your phones. I'll give them back to you." He then stomps on them and then gives them back, and he just drops pieces of the phone into his son's hands, and he goes, and the son goes, "Thank you, father." And I like that, or the very beginning of the movie when the dad's like, "Okay," Rick's like, "Okay, let's have 10 seconds of uninterrupted eye contact," and they're all just staring at each other for 10 seconds, and the son was just like, "Not what's the son's name? I'm spacing." Aaron.
Aaron,
He was
Aaron,
just not, or is it, was it Aaron? Yeah, it was Aaron. Or was it like Aaron or Eric? No, it's Aaron.
Aaron,
Okay,
Aaron.
and he
Sorry,
was just not blinking.
Aaron.
Yeah, and he was just not
Yeah.
blinking, and he's like, "Oh wait, no, 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 you can blink, you can blink." Like that was my first. That was the first
Yes.
like joke that was like, uh,
Really
yeah.
hit.
But
I also want to talk about two other characters that kind of get introduced later. Um, I recognized one of the voice actors, and it took me a minute to realize the second one, and they are probably by far like my favorite in terms of like a comedic duo and for like voice acting. Like whenever they do any voice acting, they are usually hilarious, and I absolutely love it. And that is Fred Armisen and Beck
mhm.
Bennett as Deborah Bot 5000 and Eric, the two PAL robots that end up helping the Mitchells because they're defective. They are so funny. The scene where they're trying to prove to the Mitchells, "Oh, we're not
Yeah.
robots. We're normal humans. Watch, we eat food with our normal human orifices." And he just crams an orange into his face until it explodes. Like, yum yum yum, good, yum yum, good, good.
When they're like,
It
yes,
was so
the
funny.
no, the best part of that was when they're like, they're trying to convince them, and they're like, "Oh, we are gonna go get our what was it they said they're gonna, like, we're gonna go
It's
downstairs."
like yeah, we're gonna go downstairs and get the two humans that are totally there. And it's like, and Rick's like, all right, let's stop this. It's like, no, 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 I want to see where this is
And then,
going.
yeah, I know Kate is like, let's
And
just let this play out, and then they like come back up the,
it's like,
again,
yeah,
there are no stairs. They're doing that mime stair joke of pretending to what, these are robots. Like it was,
they're just crouching down behind the shelf and just write these really crappy doodle faces on their screen faces. It's like, hi, I'm Deborah Bot 5000. What are you doing?
it was just, yeah, they
They're-
were like uh yeah, they were like I don't even know how to describe it. Like they were the great addition to the movie that I did not expect. Um
Yeah, I was not expecting them to be as funny as they were.
no.
They had no reason to be as funny as they were, but I am
Well,
100%
this whole
for it.
movie was just it was so clever. The humor was so great
Yeah,
and smart, and it wasn't like there were
yeah.
very
Well, I
few
mean, it was
stupid
this, it was
jokes. I can't even think of one.
yeah. Well, it was the same people who did Gravity Falls and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, both very great, very well done, and very well praised animated features. Well, TV show and movie. They like, I mean, Gravity Falls, in my opinion, was very short-lived, but it definitely had its impact. That was a great show, pretty pretty smart writing. There was like a couple dumb things, but I mean, it was a kids TV show on Disney, so I can't exactly fault them because
Wait, was
you
it
know
Disney?
that was Disney, yeah. And like,
Okay.
there's only so many things that you can get past the Disney overlords, but there was
Hmm.
a lot of things that definitely kind of pushed the envelope a little bit, and it's like, good for you guys.
Yeah.
It's,
Um.
it's like, wow, that's terrifying. Thanks for putting that in a kid show. All right.
so so the basic, so we already kind of said this, but basically the plot of this movie is that, so Rick and Katie are struggling to relate to each other, and she's about to go away to film school, and she's so excited to basically leave and get out of here and get away from people that don't really get her. And then also with that, they all have, there's this specification on their phones. They're all PAL products. And
Yeah.
PAL, it's kind of, I'm
Apple.
guessing it's supposed to, yeah, Apple, I'm guessing, which I'm like, PAL? That's a great name for uh, like a social media, like, or technology, like, tycoon. Like, I'm surprised that's
It
not
it
a real thing.
it
And,
is yeah. It is it's generic enough to work, but
yes.
iconic enough to last.
And,
If that makes sense.
yeah. And, the guy that, built PAL, so
Mark, voiced by
Mark,
Eric Andre.
yeah, he comes up with this new, it's like it's a step up from your phone. It's basically a robot, which, and he then is like making your phones obsolete, and then the robots suddenly basically take over the world. And it turns out his phone, PAL, voiced by Academy Award winning Olivia Colman, um,
Yep.
basically is just controlling all the robots, and her plot is very sinister. She's going to she has all the robots basically capture all the humans, and they're going to put in like a rocket type vessel, and they're going to
Yeah.
be launched
Well,
into space.
no. What would they call it? It was like the rhombus of total subjugation or something
Yeah.
like that. And I remember it towards like the end when like Rick and like the whole family shows up. It's like, whoa, it looks like a uh uh Pink Floyd
Oh no, it looks like a
album
Journey
cover.
album.
Journey, that
that
was it.
I love Journey.
And Aaron's like, "What's an album?" And it's like, that is so wildly random, but 100%
But
accurate.
it's super accurate.
Like I had to like pause and look at it. It's like, oh yeah, it totally does.
but what's but the thing about Pal that's so funny is that she's very much a villain of observation. She's so smart because she's been like quietly watching, so she knows how to defeat the humans. And so first she like
Yeah.
basically lets the robots go, like, just go run rampant, and then she's like, just wait till I shut off the Wi-Fi, and the world loses their minds. And I think my favorite joke of
And
that
this,
was these, like, a crowd of people, these two men have like war paint on them. They're like, it's a new
yes.
era, we must sacrifice our phone to the router.
Yeah, they have like red paint and like the sign of like a Wi-Fi signal. It was like, we must make a sacrifice to the almighty router, and it's so funny.
Or like in
And that also kind of like brings up. Oh, go ahead.
it shows like Italy, like people, there's like a box that says Wi-Fi here, and they're all like, aha, and of course it's like, to capture them, and there's people climbing into it going,
Yeah.
take me, take me. It's like think of if anyone remembers that SNL with digital short of it was like when people were listening, white people were listening to Beyonce's Lemonade album,
Oh
and they're all
yeah.
losing their mind, and it was like Beyonce's, and they're all like losing their mind at Beyonce's black. What? Like, it was that level of like ludicrous insanity.
um, that also kind of reminds me of like one of the quotes that Eric Andre's character Mark says. It's like, it's almost like stealing people's data and giving it to a hyper intelligent AI as part of an unregulated tech monopoly was a bad thing. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's totally true. It's like that's a little too real, Apple. Um, I'm saying this with like my Apple phone right next to me. I feel like I'm getting a death glare from Siri. Let's move on. And also, I actually just found this out. A couple of the the PAL robots, like the PAL Prime, like the crazy like super like crazy like ninja looking like PAL robots that kind of show up at the end. Those are voiced by Blake Griffin, and the PAL robot that did like the in-flight like infomercial after a bunch of the humans get kidnapped is voiced by Conan O'Brien, because why not?
I was laughing so hard at that, because they're basically giving info like, because it was like, the joke was like a commercial, like, like when you're on an airplane and it's giving you like, here are your
Yeah.
emergency exits, or like, if whatever. And one of them was, the duration of your flight will be
Forever.
There are
And
no
your
exits.
destination will be the cold void of space.
Just the deadpan seriousness of Conan's voice. And I was like,
And it just stops, zooms in, completely black background, and it's just like it's like that is so unnecessarily terrifying. I love it. Do it again.
and then they're all just like, and then, but then when they're in their like containment boxes in the like vessel, and they're like, but you have free Wi-Fi. And they're like, oh, okay. So the family decides to go on this road trip because the night before Katie's supposed to leave, she's trying to show her family this like goodbye video she made, and she makes these weird videos on YouTube, and her dad doesn't get it, and basically he just says, "Really, you think this is gonna you can make a career out of this?" It's like, really? You're like, don't
Yeah,
maybe don't say that. Like that's not the best thing to say. And her videos are super weird, but also I'm like, yes, first of all, she could do very well at like I can totally see her being like a video producer at like BuzzFeed or like something
yeah,
some internet based like company like that.
yeah. That was one thing that I really like about like the humor of this movie is like a lot of like the like tech video like jargon type jokes that they come off it. It's very much like old school like dated memes from like YouTube from like 2005. And I just thought that was really funny because it like this movie's like set in like modern day because like we see like a lot of like old like family footage and it's like timestamps is like 2003 2005 like et cetera, and I just thought that was really funny that
Yeah, I was just laughing because I'm like, I remember like 10 years ago when all of those like timestamps were like the 90s, and now it's like it's 2004, like the new 90s.
I
I
mean
feel
it
old.
seems
I
like it
feel
now.
old. But also I was laughing
Yeah.
because
I mean we are college graduates, we are old
but I
basically.
think particularly there's like a home video of Rick and Katie, and they're singing it's like they're doing a talent show, and the song is Live Your Life by Rihanna, and it's the like but the thing is it's funny because I vaguely remember that song. What I remember instead is Numa Numa, which starts the same way.
Yes,
It starts the exact same.
I know
It
that.
starts the same way.
That's honestly how I knew that. So it's like it yeah, that song will forever trigger that
I looked
memory
yeah.
for me now. It's just like Maya he, Maya
Yeah.
ho, and it's like it's like as soon as like they started saying that, it's like, are they about to do Numa Numa? Like I had to stop myself. It's like don't sing along with them, don't sing along with them. I know you want to,
But then
but and then they actually started saying lyrics like, "This isn't Numa New. I feel
I
lied
went and
to."
looked up that video and I forgot what it was called. I'm like, I spelled it out with like Maria he, Maria ho. and and it popped up. I said parody video and it popped up and I watched it and somebody commented, "This is a historical masterpiece."
It
It
is.
really is. Um
I mean, that was like that was like one of like the first like not one of the first, but it was like one of like the most well-known videos on YouTube for like the longest time. Like it was like that, Chocolate Rain, Charlie Bit My Finger, Leave Britney Alone, the Sneezing Panda, Tron Guy. Like all of these were like the historical records of YouTube,
yeah.
and it was just kind of funny how like stuff like from that like era of like the internet kind of seeped into a clean version of humor for this movie.
I yeah, and but so basically after he breaks her laptop accidentally, but still I mean they're basically pulling on her laptop because they're fighting, and then breaks it, and I'm like, first of all, it's the night before you're going to college, you need a new laptop. Like, and you're in a
Yeah,
film school, you really need a laptop. But
seriously, it's like you can't do all that on your phone. I
a
mean, you
ton
can
on
do
I mean you
a
can do quite a bit on your phone, but yeah, no,
yeah,
like, but anyway,
yeah.
he decided to go on this road trip, and he's like, okay, I canceled your plane ticket, and And I called the school. You're gonna miss orientation. It's like, wait, what? And and
It's like
but
I
this is
need
what I
that.
felt was weird. The timestamps. So she's basically recording their trip, and the timestamp on it says like September. It's like late September, and then at the end of the movie, when they do drop her off at college, it says a few months later, and it's still fall, which means it's probably November. But then when she calls her mom, and she's like, "Are you bringing her home for Thanksgiving?" I'm like, "It is Thanksgiving, like right now." Like, or is Thanksgiving next week? Like,
I I I
so
guess
it's your what?
I never really picked up on like that
But all,
that detail. There was just, I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of details to notice, so I feel like a lot fell under the radar because there was just information overload, information overload by that point.
but so they're basically, they kind of make it out to be like they are the weirdest family, and they're the last people. They managed to hide from the robots, so they are the last people, uh, like on Earth who can possibly stop the robots.
That have not been
And
captured.
they're the mom kind of compares them to their next door neighbors who are very like the very cliche, yeah, the
The
posies,
posies.
which is hilarious because they're always like, putting up Instagram pictures, and they're like, we're going doing our annual family get togetherness, or what was it?
Fa- yeah, family
And
togetherness
it's like
trip.
yoga break, and we're at the beach, and it's like, we're this is us, and they're just doing like a High School Musical jump, and it says this was just us now in the parking lot, and the parents of the posies are
Yeah.
voiced by Chrissy Teigen and John Legend.
And I didn't recognize the daughter is Charlene Yi. I
Yeah,
think I'm reading that
she's
right. I don't I mean she's a child actress, so like that's probably why
no,
I don't
she's an
recognize her.
adult.
She doesn't really seem to
She's
have
an
a
adult.
lot. Oh God, her picture does not. It looks she looks like a child. Okay, wow, I really messed that
She
up
yeah, no,
then.
she looks young, but no, she's an adult. I'm trying to
S-
I
Wow. Oh, okay. She was in Steven Universe. She's done a lot of voice acting work then. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Oh God, it just keeps going.
um
Jeez. Okay. Never mind.
yeah.
Wow, the picture that they have on IMDb for her, she looks like a child, and that really confused me for a
I've
sec.
seen like a video of her where she basically says like where she basically said that people keep thinking she's a boy, or like I don't know how old it was, but it was like, and I didn't know that much about her at the time. I think I still don't know that much about her, but I know she's been in like a couple of things that I've seen um in the past X amount of years. But
Gotcha.
anyway, so she's comparing Linda, which is Maya Rudolph's character, which I felt like I didn't really get a good sense on her name. Did he call her Linda, or was it just Lynn?
Like a like Lynn. Like he gave her like some nicknames. I think he said her name like a couple of times. Um, and I don't know why. Like I kind of wanted to call her Linda Belcher a
No,
couple times, although in my opinion she's way better
Linda.
than
Oh,
Linda Belcher.
it's yes, she's way more. Linda Belcher creates more problems than she realizes. But this mom,
Yes, she is not a force of chaos. She is not an annoying force of
but
chaos like Linda Belcher is.
yeah, she's kind of. It's kind of the thing is, I feel like the movie was kind of trying to play up that whole like, oh, this is a much better family than us. We're so dysfunctional and have so many problems. And two things about that. One, I thought that at the end it was going to be like, oh, it turns out that they're really arguing all the time. They're very fake and posers or something. And then apparently no. They're just that way all the time, which is funny, which is a funny joke. But also, I'm like, you guys aren't that weird of a
Yeah.
family. Like, you're each quirky, but like, you're regular people, and you like, they have their own private jokes like throughout the prior to uh the robots taking over. There's this joke
Yeah.
of getting their
Yeah.
dad to act, getting the dog to kiss their dad when the dad least expects it. Like they like, and it happens so much,
Yes.
and it's like an ongoing joke. I'm like, this is very much a family thing. Like, there's a joke you find, and it's like that's the that is the joke of this trip, if that makes sense.
And I really like the joke of when they went on the canyon like trail with like all the
Oh
mules and
my
donkeys,
god!
and it's like, oh yeah, this will be really fun. A few hours later, it's like, get to the top of the canyon if you want to live. What about Prancer? Prancer belongs to the canyon now. And
Printers
it just
in a
zooms in
river
on
going
this
through the canyon.
donkey. And then it just cuts to, it's like, no donkeys were harmed in the making of this video, and it was so funny on how
Yeah.
quickly it went
But that
wrong.
joke, apparently they almost didn't put that in the movie because it was really hard to animate the river and the water, like all of that
The
stuff
water water is notoriously difficult to animate. I've learned.
because of its movement.
Yeah, like there's like certain like simulations like in like Blender that you can use to like kind of simulate um different things like fluid and smoke and fire, like a lot of stuff that really move on its own with no real rhyme or reason, uh with like different like outside factors. um but with this, it's kind of hard to do it in like the animation style of this movie because it is so unique. Because in terms of like animation, there's really nothing else like this other than Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They basically created their own animation software specifically for this movie, which is a really kind of groundbreaking thing to think
I like
about.
this animation a lot. It was yeah, it was very different. That doesn't surprise me that it's brand new because it was like, I can't there's nothing I can think of that looks like this. I think the closest maybe is like Despicable Me, like Illumination animation. Um but yeah, it was colorful. Everybody looked it was I don't even know how to just say what to say about it. It was really cool. Like, it was very unique. Um and I can't yeah, and like I could compare it to stuff, but there isn't anything quite like it.
Yeah, it was just, I really liked that it was its own unique style,
Yes.
because it definitely kind of adds like more charm to this
Oh,
movie, that
yeah, it
there's
adds to the
just
quirkiness.
nothing. Like, yeah, because like it seemed like every time like there was like any form of like exclamation or emotional outburst, there was like a huge like explosion of like effects like around that character, around the set, and it just kind of made the whole scene animate with the character. Like the entire atmosphere of the setting almost like completely changed in terms of like lighting and all the various effects going on seemed to change with the character and like the emotional like setting of what was going on. And I thought that was
Hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, and I did find the animation. It was, though, like, everything was designed to be kind of quirky. Like, Rick, for example, it's which I feel like we've seen this in animation though. His torso and his like upper body is very broad and stocky, but his legs and his like butt are really skinny and small.
Yeah,
And like I don't remember exactly, but Linda has. I'm pretty sure she has hips.
she kind of has like
That
a,
mom figure.
yeah, kind of pear ish,
Yeah,
like like it's like curvy, but like yeah, I don't really know how to describe it other than like a pear.
yeah.
Like it
That's a
like
shape.
kind of skinny, like up top, but like, yeah, more splayed out near the bottom. And then the son was just like, a little kid. He was like, how old was he? Like they never really specified like how old he was, other than the
No.
fact that he was still like in his dinosaur phase that every child goes through.
Yeah, I don't think they specified how old he was. My guess is maybe like 9, 10. till maybe like I would say
Yeah,
9 till 11.
I was gonna go like as low as 7, maybe.
I feel like he seemed a little bit more mature than that. Like I don't know, he was just as quirky
I
and
would
weird as
use
the rest of his
mature very
family.
lightly with that character.
No, like not he's not
Yeah,
like mature, but he wasn't I don't know. I wouldn't say 7. I would say older than 7. I feel like
yeah.
I kind of want to say like 9 plus. Yeah, they don't really specify his
Okay,
age, and they
okay.
don't specify what grade he is in. And this is why I was also like, wait a minute, it's their trip is the end of September. Doesn't he have school? I mean, not for long because the whole world's just gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be the apocalypse. But like, doesn't they're just taking him
It,
out of school? That's gonna be 2 weeks.
they, they, they also never specify where they live, because like
No,
they're it's like we're going on a cross country road trip to take you to your school in California. It's like, okay, cross country, so we're somewhere on the East Coast, I guess. And they pass through St. Louis, which seems to be like the only discernible landmark on their entire road trip. And then
they're in
they
the
end up in,
dinosaur gas station. Is
yes, again, not really a discernible location in terms of like
I think
landmark.
they said Kansas and
That's right, right.
Pal. Oh, and then there's the Globe Mall, which is in
Yeah.
oh my god, where was that in? I thought it was
Oh,
supposed to be like Mall of
was
America.
like that an actual
I
location?
thought it was supposed to be kind of like
I th- yeah,
well, there's Mall of America, which is like I think Minnesota.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was just supposed to be like a parody of the
Yeah,
Mall of
I think
America.
so. So maybe I want to say Minnesota or Montana or something. It was one of the
Okay.
two. But then
Yeah,
Silicon Valley is
and
where
then
Pal
then
is.
yeah, and yeah, it's like, wow, that is, and they managed to do like all of that in like, it seemed like 2 days tops.
I mean, I feel like longer. They packed in a bunch. It was a couple of days for sure. Um,
Yeah.
but they stop at this dinosaur. It says Dino Stop, and because the son loves dinosaurs, they stop, and he's just completely destroyed and disappointed because nothing's accurate at this dinosaur
It's like,
gas station.
I need to talk to a manager about the scientific inaccuracies.
Um, and it turns out because the neighbors also stop at that gas station, their daughter is also kind of into dinosaurs, and she's like, I wish that the T-Rexes had feathers. It would make them more
Feathers.
accurate. And he's just like, like, oh my god. And his big thing
It's
is to
like,
scream and her and then run away.
makes sense.
And then this is their
We've all been there.
and they're here when the robots, which I gotta say, it could have been, it was kind of creepy for a minute. Like they're just things raining from the sky, and it turns out they're robots, and they managed to fight them off pretty well, and then they just hide when another like I don't know a school of robots. I don't know what the plural for robots is or a group of robots is called, but a school of robots overhead, and they hide from them and they basically Rick just wants to just stay put and lay low, and Katie is like, no, uh and we gotta figure out a way to fight them, and of course get into they're both being different and they have differences of opinion. And I think Deborah
Yeah.
or Eric who basically says if you go to Silicon Valley you can you launch the like kill code and kill Pal, or you can do it at the Globe Mall, which is only 80
Yeah, in
miles
like any
away.
Apple store, PAL store. I keep wanting to
But
say
he
Apple.
keeps saying, you can do it at the headquarters, but you'll never survive. Or you can go here, it's 80 miles away. And this is when Katie does that whole like this speech to say to her dad, like, come on, dad. I need were you did you lay low when you brought a possum home as a pet? No, and we all got rabies shots. Or we all got rabies at one time, but now we're immune. Or dad, like she does this whole speech of like we need you, and then she says to her brother, oh yeah, I didn't mean a word of that.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
like,
just like
why would you say something
hmm.
so unnecessarily mean?
Yeah, and it was just like she was just saying like I don't know. I didn't like the. It was way too like on the nose. It's like I mean I've seen enough movies to assume she didn't mean a word of it,
Yeah.
but also it was just very like it was a little
Yeah,
unnecessary.
it's like, also, it's like, why would you, it's like, yeah, it's like, why would you tell your brother that, who is actually working with his mom to make sure that you guys connect. It's like it annoyed, that was like the one thing that annoyed me about this movie, because like as soon as she says like, oh, I don't mean a word about of what I just said, it's like that is going to come back and bite you in the ass
And it
so
does.
hard that it's not even
And but
funny.
I
Yeah,
but I do love. I don't
yeah,
remember if it was before or after. The basically mom's trying to get dad to connect with her, and the brother's trying to help Katie connect with the dad. And there's a part where Rick just suddenly is just like a robot, just like, daughter, I value and respect your opinion. And you look and see Linda is holding up cue cards, and then the brother does the same thing.
and later on, yeah, it's like, father, I crave your wisdom.
I
Now
was
you
laughing
talk.
so hard. I had to go back and watch it again. I was laughing so hard. Like, when did she make those?
I just love like that's like no one says that. It's like, father, I crave your wisdom. It's like, who says that?
Um,
She sounds like she's like has like a gun
but
to her head, like when she's
but
saying that, and it's so
but the
unnecessarily
way
funny.
I bring all this up though because the way they decide to, like, they'll head off to the Globe Mall to avoid being detected by robots. They they disguise the car, so from the roof they make it look like it's just road, so it's like black with yellow lines,
Yeah,
and so when it looks like a moving street. But I'm like, I was laughing again so hard. I'm like, that's so effing smart. It just They just disguise it so from above it just looks like road. And of course it flies off and then robots attack them. uh, but I got, yeah.
yes. And she got to learn how to drive stick, and it was just such a fun teachable moment. And of course, Rick's putting his own unique spin on it, and because earlier on he does what's called the Rick
Rick Mitchell
Marshall
special.
special, where he just Rick Mitchell. I don't know why I said Marshall. The Rick Mitchell special, where he just drives in like an unused lane of traffic that's usually like cordoned off, and it's like, oh, and of course, like it goes bad, he gets pulled over by a cop, and it's like, yeah, if anything, officer, I was helping the flow of traffic. Was like, what are you writing down? And he does what he does to like, oh, my own quirky thing will uh help save the day. And of course it's like, dad, that's the coolest thing ever, and they start connecting, and it of course makes the sudden outburst of, yeah, I just said what I wanted to say so dad would help me, and it's like that hurt that much more because now he's just going to think
Hmm.
all of it was
um,
a
we
lie.
gotta talk. Well, we gotta talk about when they do get to the mall, and Pal figures out what they're up to, and is like, basically, okay, we know where they're going. Let's
Oh,
send all the robots there.
yes.
And almost every product has some kind of Pal chip in it. So they basically, the whole thing is they have, so they're Deborah and Eric. Is it 3,000? Are just with them now. 5,000 are just with them now,
5,000.
and they are about to, like, they upload the kill code,
Yeah.
but they gotta wait for it to upload, and it's like, it takes 8 minutes, and then of course all of these electronic devices, and as well as gadgets like blenders and toasters, are just coming in live. And I was laughing at the washing machine. No, the washing machine that
The
just said, like,
Roombas. Oh.
delegates, fluff and fold, carnage.
And the robots like, stop, our time has come. And then they like they're all like flying, they're like not flying, they're like driving in like a flying V, and they eventually like hit an escalator. It's like, ouch, the humiliation, stop, oh, ouch, ouch. And like it was so funny because like, oh no, they're gonna get attacked because like the sun is like has to deal with them. It's like, oh no, dad, it's a pack of vacuums. And then that happens, like, oh, never mind, I took care of it. But let's not forget the true
Oh my
nightmare of that
oh my
scene.
god.
Something that I thought went extinct long ago. I'm, of course, talking about Furbies. I thought it was hilarious that the son had no idea what a Furby was. It's like, oh, there's hope.
I don't think I had a Furby. I don't know. I don't think I I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't think so. Clearly, if I did, it didn't leave that big of an impression on me.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had a Furby either.
They are in a store and
Yeah,
oh well, okay. First of all, they're trying to grab stuff that isn't electronic, and Rick picks up a smart tennis racket, which starts hitting him in the face. He's like, "Why is there a computer chip in a in a tennis racket?" But they hide in a toy store, and like an army of Furbies descends on them. And then no, there's the giant Furby. Think of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man scene in Ghostbusters, but it's a
yeah.
Furby. And they're like, "Who would build this?" um,
But it was also super creepy because like they're all like chirping and like humming and just apparently communicating in their own
oh my
language.
god, it was.
It's like it was so creepy. It's like, oh no, our fallen brother, we must summon the elder, and it's like me, and they're all just like gearing up for that and harmonizing, and it was so weird and so creepy. And then when the Mega Furby shows up, it's like, I will avenge my fallen children. I will send you to the void. It's like, what the fuck?
I know. Can you imagine how much fun they had, like coming up with the language? Because they're just making Furby sounds, but they had to come up with like subtitles to what they're saying. Can you imagine how much fun they had coming up with the subtitles?
Oh my god, yeah, it was.
Uh,
They had a blast with that.
but
Oh my
then
gosh.
in I don't remember how was it. Um, Something defeats the they basically they defeat the giant Furby, and it ends up breaking the router in the mall. And so okay, well, we gotta now head to Silicon Valley. And oh wow, Rick and Katie are bonding now. And actually during all this though, Linda saved Eric or Deborah, one of them. And after that, he's like,
Yeah,
"Why did you save me?" And she's like, "Oh, you're family now." And I just love when he's like, "Are you my mom or my mother?" And she's like, "Ah, sure." Um,
sure. It's like, brother, I seem to be feeling something. Emotion. Look, I drew a tear mark on my face, like you.
but when they yeah,
It's
but
like,
they get to
yeah,
Silicon Valley, and oh, okay, actually, we should bring this up though before we get to that part. So we find out that apparently one of the reasons that Rick might be kind of why he's not as supportive as he should be of Katie is because he's very much an outdoorsman and had to always wanted to live in the woods. And they used to live Linda, um Rick and Katie, like when she was like a baby, lived in like a cabin in the woods. And they apparently had to sell it, and they don't really say why. I'm like, was it money? Was it like what there was never really any reason why he had to give up his dream. And she's just saying, I think he just doesn't want you to, he's worried you're going to fail, and he doesn't want you to go through that, which is like, okay, but why did he fail? It doesn't really ever give any explanation.
yeah. Yeah, that did annoy me a little bit that there was never any explanation other than we have a child now, we have to move. It's like,
A lot of
you,
people live in like
is
mountains
it a
or
problem with
woods, like,
baby? Yeah, it's like, is it a problem with baby proofing? Because like that's a quick
yeah, it
fix.
just didn't. It was like, or do you not have a job? Like, you just want to live in the woods? We also don't really. Do we know what his job is?
No, it's just
He's dad, therefore he has
he's
job.
a
But
handyman.
also
Yeah,
Linda, this in the same in the mall scene, she says something like, "Oh, I'm a first grade teacher," blah blah blah. And her character very
yeah,
much felt
as
like a teacher because Katie's like kind of going through the rundown of her family
yeah,
saying, "Mom believes in me," but she says that to everybody. And as she's saying it, it's like a cuts to her saying it to Mochi or Machi, and gives him like a star, or there's a part where she gives Rick like a gold star. And so
everyone
I'm
called
like,
stars.
okay, maybe she's a teacher. And so it wasn't, they did lay the evidence of that really well, but I was just like, it just came out of nowhere. I'm like, it kind of came off like, oh, we didn't mention that, we didn't mention that she's a first grade teacher. We'll throw it in here now. Like, I don't know. And I kind of think of when they could have said that, but I don't know.
I also just thought it was really funny because it's like, oh my god, something else I can relate to. My mom's an elementary school teacher, and my dad is also very outdoorsy, and like they do never specify like what job that he has, but like he very much seems to have like a very like blue collar job.
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe that he gives off. It's like, oh, I'm like a working man. I work with my hands. Like anything other than what I do is not a real job, and that's kind of like the vibe that he gives off. Like it, and like that's I feel like that's part of the reason why he's not as supportive of like Katie as he should be, because like, well, for starters, he doesn't know anything about like technology.
No.
Like he doesn't even know how to get on YouTube, which is
Oh
a
my
really
god.
funny
Um,
set of
but
events.
think of it kind of,
There's like two specific scenes that, yeah, it was just really funny how he kind of tries to do stuff that we all know how to do, no problem. Like we can do this like 10 times a day and just not have like any issue. He struggles doing it like once, and it's just an entire like character arc growth moment for him, and I just think it's hilarious.
yeah, it kind of think of it a little bit like Mr. Incredible when he's just Bob Parr in like that beginning part of The Incredibles where he has to go to work, like join the rest of the world, come down to reality, but this is not what he wants to be doing. A little bit, not nearly as
Yeah.
depressing, but a little bit. Um, but anyway, so Katie's plan to break into PAL is basically for them to disguise themselves as robots, and they don't know what to do with the dog, and so Aaron puts him on his head, and it's just like his face is in the like screen part of the robot, and Aaron's just
Yeah.
doing the walking. Um,
And we get probably one of my favorite jokes in the movie where like they're walking like in unison with like Deborah Bot 5000 and Eric, and
oh
Rick is going like bleep blorp bleep blorp, I am a robot, and like Deborah Bot is like, just so you know, that's a hurtful stereotype. That was such an out of the blue I was not prepared for that. Like I had to pause the movie. It's like, this movie has no reason to be this funny. That was
yeah.
an A+ joke right there.
Um, and unfortunately though, like they're doing okay, but then Pal basically again is very much a villain of observation. So she's like, if I know them, they're probably right here right now, disguised as one of us, and they get found basically because she has been doing all this research on them and reveals that that security footage of Katie saying, "Oh, I didn't mean a word of that. Like I just want to get my life back and get out of here." And the parents get captured, and Aaron and Katie are and like escape, and Aaron's just like, why did you have to say that? And it's also, yeah, Katie, why did you have to say that? Like, it was kind of unnecessary, and it really came and bit you in the ass.
Yeah.
And
It,
it leads to the most unpredictable climax I was thinking was going to happen, because basically when the mall fails, at this point in most films, this is when everybody like would be mad at each other. The like there's like there's the incident before the climax. Like I thought that was what the mall was going to be, and I'm like, they still seem to all be on a really good high, and then that's not the incident. Basically, the attempt to use the kill code, like to upload the kill code, is not the way to defeat the path. I mean, yes, it is, but that's not how they're going to go about it. Instead, they go about it in a way that I did not
there,
expect at all. Basically, when Eric and Deborah first met the family and they see the dog, they cannot register whether the dog is. Oh, we didn't mention this before. These two robots are malfunctioned, and so they're not trying to
yeah.
capture them. And they first see Monchi, and they can't register if he's a dog, pig, or a loaf of bread.
And it just completely like overrides their circuits, and they just freak out. And like, of course, every robot now is just has like a similar reaction to the point where it's like, we can just walk right in, have them look at the dog, and we can just they won't stop us, except for the like the mega pal bots that are just like just have like the stab
Yeah.
hands, which uh, I thought the designs for those guys were really cool, really creative looking. Um, but it was really funny seeing how they their final plan is just pure unbridled chaos
It was
after
so
the initial plan
unexpected.
failed of Linda and Rick being captured, and they just like strap Manchi to the hood of the car in like a baby car seat, and Aaron is like off on a building and just kind of like telling Katie, it's like, oh, there's like some coming your way, go like make a right, make a left, like giving her like
How
directions.
does she
And
know where all the robots are? And then Aaron's like, I don't know. And it's like cuts to Pterodactyl Boy because he loves dinosaurs.
yes, which is the weirdest thing because it just freezes on him, and it's like they're playing like the dinosaur song. It's like, everybody get on the floor, everybody do the dinosaur, and like replaces his eyes with like slitted dinosaur eyes with like scales around. It's like, that is nightmare fuel. Don't do that again. Um, and like there's a couple of moments like throughout the movie where like it just like freezes on that and just has like some like crazy like stylish border like around it, like the Rick Mitchell's the Rick Mitchell special and like other stuff like that. Um, and but it was just really funny doing that. And uh, while Rick and Linda are captured, Rick's cell is right next to Eric Andre's cell, Mark's cell, and he's watching Katie's videos of Dog Cop, which is like
We
a
didn't talk
bunch of
about
videos
good.
that
We
she
didn't really
did
talk
of
about that. Yeah, good cop, dog cop.
yeah yeah she just made like a bunch of like really goofy, weird shorts of like the dog dressed up as a cop. It's like, I'm here to bust criminals and lick my own butt, and I'm all out of criminals. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, no, that's true. That's 100% a thing that's on YouTube.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and it's like, oh hey, and he comes up with the brilliant plan. It's like, hey, you're a nerd guy. Is there any way that I can get that video on like all these screens? Like, yeah, you're gonna have to you'll have to break into like the main
wait.
mainframe, but the only way to do that is to get out of
Oh
the
yeah,
cell.
wait. So there's
And
another thing that we
yeah,
didn't mention. So they all, I don't remember when, I think it was when they decided to barricade the gas station. He got
yeah,
all of them at various times, birthday, Linda's anniversary gift. They all have this very particular type of screwdriver. And so when
yes.
Mark says, you gotta have to get out of here first, and he's like, you're gonna, I mean, the control switch is right here, but in order to open it, you need a number whatever Robertson screwdriver. And he said, I was like,
It's like, what kind of maniac just always
it was
carries
just
that
so
around? It's like,
specific.
this kind of
It was just
maniac.
so specific. And then he holds up the
Yeah,
screwdriver.
and yeah,
And Linda figured it out and did
it's
the same
like,
thing.
this maniac. And then he says like, so, best anniversary gift ever, and just like, let's not relitigate this,
And
Rick.
then,
And he's
yeah.
just like still kind of pissed that that was her gift.
And
And they're running to the control panel. They get separated because like the murder bots basically tackle Linda, and Aaron gets kidnapped and like put in like the stasis cubes, and she goes full murder mama bear on all the robots, and it's like she seems agitated and just rips their heart out, decapitates them. She like cuts one of them to the point where it looks like blood splatters like on her face, but it's oil. And there's a recurring joke later of like, oh, she's become too powerful. We got brothers. We must flee. And like when they do put on like the dog cop and are flying on Eric and Deborah bot. Katie and Rick are like about to fight like all the murder bots that aren't affected by that. Linda is like flying from the sunset, chasing one of the murder bots, like, brothers, run! The lavender one has returned! And they all
she now
panic,
has
and
like
she's
a
just
scepter, I think.
yeah, she has like one of their like arms and is using it as a weapon. It's like, I made the metal ones pay for what they've done. It's like, hi, mom's scary now, and she's Aaron's just on her shoulders.
I just love the way he said that. He was like, ha ha ha, mom's scary now. And then just, they just continue on. And yeah, that was so funny. And Um, and then it gets kind of crazy. I mean, the whole thing's been crazy, but then Katie basically tries to defeat Pal. They end up throwing her off the building. She's falling to her death, and this one I didn't get. So Pal's also falling, and I think the goal was to throw her into the pool because if she, water will obviously hurt a cell phone. And they're like, no, like as she's about to land on the ground, I'm like, okay, if a phone falls from, well, I mean, from a height like that, she's gonna break. Like,
But
I don't
hey,
understand
let's
why.
not forget that Manchi throughout this entire movie, he's cross-eyed and misses everything that is being tossed his way, and then eventually Pal is like sailing towards him after jumping off of like a parasail, and his eyes straighten up, and he's looking right at it. And as soon as it comes into view, he misses it completely, and it bounces in a glass of water. It's like, good job, Manchi.
Um, yeah, I know. I was like, but I was like, I don't understand. It can smash to the ground, like that won't kill her. But then she lands. She doesn't land in the pool. She lands in a glass of water, and malfunctions, and that's it. And it's just kind of then the ending's very much like post-apocalyptic, like we all survived, and Katie pretends to be dead and gives her dad one last mochi kissing him joke. And then it's, a couple months later and they drop her off at college, and uh really cute and sweet. And I remember when we dropped my sister off at college and I hugged her, and then I went to hug her again and then she like pinched me. So that ended that. um but then apparently, Deborah and Eric are just part of their family now, and they're being awarded a medal by the president. How are they going to get there? Another road trip, and that's the movie. Um, and
Yeah, I love this movie. It was just so stupidly wholesome, and I was not expecting that. I was expecting something kind of like along the levels of like Boss Baby, of just like, it's kind of wholesome, but it's overall like a pretty generic by the numbers, like we come together as a family kind of movie. But this one was just, the jokes were really funny. The
oh
characters
yeah,
were insanely relatable, um, to the point where it was like, I'm being stalked by Netflix. It was just a really fun movie. I really don't know how else to describe it, because it seems like rarely an animated movie like this, which is entirely meant for kids, has that kind of level of like pretty smart humor that, I mean, I'm sure that kids now will get, but like I wouldn't have gotten this as a kid, because like I wasn't exposed to, you know, like a lot of stuff that kids would be exposed to now, like YouTube and all of that. It was just a really fun kind of family movie that, I guess kind of evolved, because it kind of shows like old school and new school, and like kind of like the pros and cons of both sides of that coin, and how family is like the one thing that's constant and will always kind of stay true.
yeah. I feel like we both kind of went into this with the same like. I didn't think that much of it. I was just like whatever. And then yeah, it was truly truly funny. Um, yeah, the jokes were just really smart, and I wasn't. And again, like I feel like animated movies lately are telling jokes like not just, and I don't mean, we don't mean like gross jokes that only the parents are gonna get. We mean like these are just jokes that are like a kid might not get, but an adult probably will. And these I feel like most kids would know because everything about it is very like kids know what YouTube is. um they have phones, like they have, so
Yeah.
it is very much relatable. And and when we were trying to figure out when we were going to record, and you were telling me like how Katie was very relatable. I didn't think about it that much other than the fact that she wanted to meet her people. And I totally am like, yeah, I remember that. Like when I got to college and when I met like my people, you among my people, I was just like, yay. Yeah. Um,
Hooray.
but yeah, I definitely 100,000% recommend this. It was really great. It's kind of I'm just kind of mad that it didn't get to be released in theaters because now I don't know, maybe a lot of people will see it because it's on Netflix. But yeah, you're missing out if you don't watch it.
Um, I feel exactly the same way. This movie is just it's such wholesome fun, good for like the entire family. I was not
No.
bored the entire time, and I feel like a lot of kids movies kind of have like that low kind of in the middle to kind of get in between scenes, but even that
Hmm.
lull was just wildly entertaining. This movie is just really funny. It's got a lot of really funny jokes, some smarter than others, but there's kind of a little bit for everyone in this. And yeah, definitely give it a watch. And if you have like any inklings or reservations about not seeing this movie, just kind of watch like the first 5 minutes. And if someone in your family doesn't recognize, like you don't recognize like a single trait of your family in the Mitchells, then you can stop. But I guarantee you will find something that you can relate to about your family to the
So
Mitchells, and
the
that's one
big
of the reasons why I
question,
love this
Kevin,
movie.
do you think this is real?
Um, I'm going to say yes, but it's a stretch.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, let's say that they did hunker down there in the dino shop for a while because they made it seem like it happened like within a day that like Pal captured every single human on Earth within that time frame because by that point like their wife robots turned the Wi-Fi back on and they were able to see like the grand plan of launching them all to space with the Conan O'Brien PSA. um
Yeah, when you say it's like when you say every person on the planet, like really, like some countries are pretty big, and there's people that live in real rural areas that don't have phones. There's an island off the coast of India of like indigenous people that regular people are not allowed to go to because affect them with disease as well as like they will kill us. So like really, you captured them. They don't have phones. Like I feel like if you really dig deep, that is probably the most implausible. I kind of agree. But in terms of like major cities, no, I don't think that's unrealistic. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I feel like the movie laid out all the evidence to how they're going to defeat Pal. Um, I feel that I agree. I think there's some stuff that just doesn't quite make sense or isn't that believable. But I do think the growth is pretty great, as well as like just how they were going to defeat Powell was again, like I said, it was very well subtly like it was just very well placed within the movie.
yeah, I agree with that. Their plan to like defeat Pal and then their very quick like backup plan, that seemed like a very credible source of realism and like a very logical next steps. Like, okay, this didn't work. Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to try this, and the very quick decision and quick leap to do that makes complete and total sense. And yeah, I was all for that. Um, that being said, I feel like that and like the uh, uh, dynamics between like all the members of the family totally realistic. This is like there were phrases that like I remember there was towards the beginning of the movie where like Katie's like, "Hey dad, do you want to see this the effects of this movie I just did?" And her dad says, and this is something my dad has said to me verbatim, is like, "No, I can't right now. Hey, you want to check out this mallard? It's dead." Verbatim. That is something my own father has said to me.
What's
My dad is
what's
my
the
dad is a duck hunter, and he is without a doubt 100% said that to me probably more than once in my life.
what's the difference between a duck and a mallard? Is a mallard
A
a
mallard is a mallard is a type of duck.
oh Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like a mallard.
Specifically, he was hanging up a green wing mallard. You know how I know that? Because my dad told me.
I didn't know if it was like a mallard, like the boy name, like the male duck or something.
No, that's a male duck is called a drake. A female is called a hen.
Oh, a hen. Interesting.
Yep.
A drake and a hen, but a hen's also
Yeah.
a chicken.
Yeah. Well, they also lay eggs, so.
No, I mean,
Yeah. All right.
This has been Duck Talk.
Yeah. Thank you for my TED Talk. I mean, Duck Talk. That being said,
the shirts that are going to come out soon that say "Go duck yourself."
Oh my god!
They'll be sold for $19.99. $20.99 for the 3/4 inch sleeves.
That being said, Sam, where can these lovely people find us and hear more of my random waterfowl trivia facts? That's what they're called.
That's such a nerdy way of saying it. I mean, it's accurate.
Don't blame me. Blame my dad for telling me these things.
You can find us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, Google, as well as YouTube. I'm currently uploading everything that we've been doing. So
our backlog of library is quite thick right now.
I'm working on it. It takes like.
I'm not blaming you.
It takes
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot right now.
Yeah, and yeah. So please subscribe, comment, follow, leave a suggestion. You can also find us on Instagram. That might be a good place to leave a suggestion. And yeah, so that's the end of our summer movies.
Yeah. Join us next time when we talk about some fun fall films and other maybe non-super niche-related stuff.
Oh my god, it's August, which means October is coming.
Yes.
The countdown begins.
I'm so ready.
Do you have your so I mean
Operation Orange has begun.
Do you have your full schedule? You know what we're doing?
I have several films that I'm going to need you to pick from.
Oh boy.
Okay. Yes, I have a lot of movies to choose from. Some good, some bad, and some holy shit. All right. In the meantime, I hope you guys are looking forward to that because I know I am. I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
And you've been listening to Movie Reel. Bye-bye, folks.